Hello and welcome to a video about making a 18th century short gown. I'm Maria from Sew Through Time. When it comes to women's 18th century clothing, the most common outer garment for the upper body throughout the whole entire century is a gown. The gown varies in how it's made and what it actually looks like throughout the century depending on the fashions. But with its long skirts, a gown can be a sort of impractical garment for a working woman who's working around a hearth or in close quarters. So the more casual upper garments for women wear jackets, and then for even more like working class people and leisure wear, where in the English speaking world there was the bedgown. Now a bedgown is an easy, loose T-shaped garment that has T-shaped sleeves and the body of the garment made in one. It doesn't have really any shaping. It flares out to the bottom, but there is no waist shaping, there's no back shaping, there's no back seam even. And the only thing that there really is for shaping is that T-shape, and then there's a little piece in the back that is pieced on to give you room for your neck. This garment is also usually, it doesn't have any kind of closures or ties or anything. It is usually pinned shut or shut with an apron. I personally just, because the ends overlap, I just overlap the ends and put an apron on top, and that's how I usually wear it. If you're interested in making a bedgown, the one I made is made by the Burnley and Trowbridge sew-along that I'll also link down below. I highly recommend this if you're interested in hand sewing, and also, like you see it on me, I wear it often as just a jacket or sweater type of garment with modern clothes. A bedgown is essentially an English fashion. It is used throughout Scotland and the colonies, what later become the Americas, especially by English-speaking English immigrants. But in continental Europe, a bedgown isn't really that common. The main garment for leisure wear and workwear is a short gown. Now a short gown is also a T-shaped garment, but it is constructed a little differently. It does have a back seam, and that is fitted and then to your waist, and then it flares out. And also the side seams are fitted at least to your bust and then it flares out, or all the way to your waist and then it flares out. Some of these garments can be kind of loosely fitted, but some of them are really actually fitted to your body and they follow the lines of your body. That flaring of the skirts can happen at about a 45-degree angle to all the way to a 90-degree angle, depending a little bit on the era and the purpose of this garment. Unlike the English bedgown, which is really a working class garment, the short gown is not only a working class garment, but it is also an upper class ladies' leisure wear and at-home wear garment. It would not be something that she would normally see guests in, but it would be something that she could comfortably wear at home even without her stays. When worn without stays, a short gown was worn with a less structured garment that can be called either jumps, quilted waistcoat, or just a waistcoat or vest that can be sleeveless or sleeved. Now, unlike the English bedgown that is usually made out of either linen or wool, short gowns can be also made out of silks and even silk brocades. Especially upper class women would wear a lot of silk short gowns that were called in Sweden, where they were very common, either a kofta or a tröja. I think I'm pronouncing them right. I don't know. I don't actually speak Swedish. Now, these terms in the 18th century are interchangeable and they can mean both jacket or short gown. There isn't much distinction between the two as far as what the terminology of the time was. But nowadays, we do define those two garments as different garments because they are constructed differently. A jacket has a fitted sleeve, whereas the short gown has that T-shaped sleeve that is cut in one with the body. Short gowns can sometimes have long tapered sleeves or just long looser sleeves, or they can come with 3/4 length sleeves. Another difference between the short gown and a bedgown is that a short gown usually is closed either with pins or with ties, and it usually doesn't overlap much. Both bedgowns and short gowns are used as layering garments for extra warmth, but a short gown in colder countries like Poland and Sweden was used also as an outer garment. The upper class version of this was usually silk. First, in the beginning of the century, it could be lined with fur, and later on it was more commonly quilted. It could still have a fur edge on it, but it tended to be, the warmth tended to come from the quilting. And the lower class garments were usually wool. They could sometimes be lined with fur. For my garments, I decided to make something that would be suitable for a working class or middle class woman's outfit. And I decided to use a baize wool. Baize wool is a worsted warp, woolen weft, plain weave fabric that was common for lower sort of garments because it's a slightly coarse wool. This is a sort of spongy, warm wool that is a little bit coarser, not as fine as, say, a woolen broadcloth, but it is very warm and it usually has a napped underside to it, like mine does. The fabric that I'm working with is a vintage wool that I found thrifting, but if you would want to find this nowadays, I would highly recommend getting it from Burnley and Trowbridge. I'll link it down below. They have excellent wools, and they have both broadcloths, and they do have this baize wool too. Here I'm drawing out the short gown based on my bedgown and a jacket that I've made that I know that fit, and the waist is at the correct place. I just use them as my guidelines because I'm being lazy and don't want to measure everything. After sewing the side seam from the sleeve to the bodice skirt, I tried it on and fitted the back and realized that it's a little bit big on the back. So I pinned it in place and now I'm stitching it to where it needs to go, and then afterwards I'm going to cut it to the right shape so that I can flat fell the seams.